Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vocal Arts. I am here with the great Luke Holt. Luke, who are you, man? Tell the people.
Hello. I'm Luke Holt. I'm the voice of Zeus in Epic the Musical. I'm a voice actor, musical theater actor, streamer, video game player, video game enjoyer, and yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked to finally be meeting Peter. He's incredible. I've seen some of his reaction stuff, and so I'm really stoked to get started.
We're happy to have you here, man. Awesome. Perfect elevator pitch. Perfect length. Let's get into Epic. I'm sure a lot of people are here to hear about, kind of a deep dive into your experience being the voice of Zeus. I would love to hear it from your perspective, like from the kind of origin story, like how you got connected with Jay and how the project started forming out of the primordial ooze of TikTok.
Yes. So it's actually quite a story. If you haven't already sort of heard bits and pieces of it, I'll just start from the beginning. So
Yeah.
pretty much, I was already getting my master's degree in musical theater performance, and on the side, I was teaching voice lessons. So I was teaching voice lessons, taking care of all sorts. I think I had like I want to say it was something like 5 to 10 students, right? Um, and I was just singing, helping one of my voice students sing a specific song, and then they were like, "Hey, by the way, I heard about this thing on TikTok. You should totally check it out." And I was like, I don't have TikTok. I'm not gonna download TikTok for anything like this. I don't like I don't know what even I don't even know what you're talking about, pretty much. And this student was like, "Oh, well, here, let me show you." And they showed me sort of the audition sort of thing, and I was like, "This is really cool. This is actually a really great like marketing strategy for this guy named Jorge to do." I mean, obviously he's not casting this way, but like it's a great way to get the like the audience involved in this. Like, this is really cool. And they're like, "Yeah, you should totally do it." And I said, "Well, like I said, this is not how casting works. Like, this isn't how it works." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then like the next day, my cousin sends me a link to TikTok with this video in it, and I'm like, "I just was told about this. Like, I like what the heck?" And no joke, I kept telling multiple people, like, not exaggerating, at least 9 people came up to me within the span of a week and a half. And so I
Wow.
was like, all right, there must be something to this. Like, some otherworldly thing is telling me to do this. So I was like, okay. And my wife had TikTok at the time, and I was like, "Hey, can I use your phone really quick?" And I recorded a video, downloaded the video, downloaded TikTok, uploaded that video to my phone because I had like a brick phone. I was not prepared, but she had an iPhone, and iPhone does really well with TikTok and stuff. And so sure enough, I uploaded it, and I was like, all right, whatever happens, happens. Like, now, if anyone asks me, I did it, right? I did it,
Yes.
and that's as much as I can say. Um, and then all of a sudden, Jorge says, "Hey, we'd love to hear more from you." And on my brick phone, I'm like, "Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course. Yes, I'd love to." No response. I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess I didn't make it. I guess he found someone else." And then he commented on another video and said, love your cool vibes. Um, I would love to hear more from you." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I just responded, but again, nothing." And then I was like, "Wifey, get over here." And so I grab my wife's phone, and I look, and I find the posts that he commented on, and my comments weren't going through.
Oh
And
no.
so it looked like I was just ignoring the guy.
Ah, playing hard to get, Luke. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so then finally I was like, "Okay, all right." So I put my like email in my bio and said, for business inquiries,
Nice.
email this. And I got an email and was like, "Hey, I've been trying to reach you, but for some reason my TikTok's acting weird." And the rest was history. I mean, it was an incredible experience, and I've got the world and I guess the vibes of the world to thank for where I'm at right now.
So was Jay just kind of scouring TikTok to find singers that were interested in the project?
So what he would do is he would post a video of him singing the song, with I think this one was Thunderbringer. He was singing a bit of Thunderbringer, and he had like a vocal modulator on to make it like lower. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm looking for a deep voice to play this. And then he would like sing a little bit, and then he would post the same video but without the words. And so then you would duet the video. And so pretty much it was fans that got to like jump into the project, I guess, early, right? And so there was a lot of fans early, and I guess I was just one of the lucky people that was shown this. Um, and he got to like he would look through so many. I mean, there were so many auditions, and there were a
Hmm.
lot of good ones too, like
Mm.
really, really good auditions, incredible auditions. And again, I was just the lucky, blessed one that was chosen.
That's fantastic, man. I mean, you got to shoot your shot. Sometimes it works out really well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Would you have thought yourself as the voice for a character like Zeus?
Um,
Like, how does it compare to roles you've done in musical theater, for example?
So yes, and is what I'll say. The most actory thing that I can say. Yes, and yes. I have sang like that in the past. I have done opera style things. I don't want to say I've done opera because opera is a totally different beast that I have not had the pleasure to do. But I've trained operatic style and then done opera adjacent things. And so I was like, oh, okay, like I know that whenever I create a lot of space and do all that, I can sound very powerful and very, ooh, yes, yes, and
Yeah.
and but also like you can hear from my singing voice, I can also do quite the opposite and sort of shorten that space and create this very musical theatery like wine,
Hmm.
if you will.
Sure.
So I've sung everywhere from the Cinderella's Prince and the Wolf in
Hmm.
Into the Woods,
Hmm.
all the way to Seymour in oh shoot, what is the name of that? Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay. So
So like
pretty versatile.
yeah, super tenory or super bassy, but I would say my tessitura, like if you wanted me to be 8 shows a week sort of thing, it'd be baritone, like right smack dab in the middle.
Baritone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So for Zeus, it was really adopting the kind of vocal timbre of an opera singer, and that's what I do primarily is sing opera professionally. So I totally get it. I
Yeah.
also really appreciate you saying like opera adjacent, and I do opera, and like acknowledging that it's a totally different thing because that's kind of an
Yeah.
unknown. Like people will hear vibrato and they'll think, "Oh, that's opera," and I'm like, it's a
Mm-mm.
lot more
Mm-mm.
than that. It's a lot more than
I
that.
so the way that I visualize it is yes, I can be loud, but opera singers loud is just on a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like I can sing loud and people are like, "Wow, that's so cool." But opera singers just fill up a room where like it sounds like they're sitting beside you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
And
the
that's
whole
just
game.
that's something that like I've obviously worked at, but it's just something that you have to continue to work at. You have to continue to like just like improve because like the journey's never over, I guess is the right word.
100%, man. Respect to that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just actually, so I've been making my way through Epic, and my Thunderbringer analysis just came out like a couple weeks ago, and I talked a lot about how I was hearing like a really nice blend of like classical singing and musical theater singing
Mm-hmm.
for your approach to that. So there'd be these moments where you have like big vibrato, kind of as dark as you can go, but there are also
Mm-hmm.
like some nice like belting straight tone moments. And I was like, I had heard you had done some training in the classical world and you were maybe more primarily in musical theater. And I was like, this is exactly kind of what I would hope to hear from someone who has training in both and like wants to utilize the training in both.
Yes. No, I mean, so it's really funny because um I've only been to school for musical theater, but the majority of my vocal coaches
Mm,
have been operatic uh performers, really. Um and so I it's funny because I'm being taught the styles and techniques in vocal studios to be open and really like project and all these other things, and then in my musical theater studios, they're like, what are you doing? No, 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 this. And so I'm having like two worlds clashing, right? But it was really, really kind of amazing to sort of bring those two worlds together with Zeus because I sort of got to do that, right? And Jorge was really, really instrumental in that as well because we actually have three. So we have three takes of Zeus pretty much. We've got musical theater Zeus, opera Zeus, and then the Zeus that came out. So it was really, really fun to sort of like record it in multiple different ways. And I'm really glad that the one that we decided to go with was the unison of both.
Yeah, I think it works really well, and it fits more seamlessly into the project as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
If you had come out full on operatic bel canto
Yeah.
singing, it'd be like, this sounds like cool and epic, but like doesn't really
It's like,
like it'd be
okay,
the
this came out of
only
nowhere.
it'd be
Yeah.
the only moment in the show where that's happening.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard, I'm singing Zeus and Casper's piece coming up, Stories from
Nice.
Sticks, and it's so funny you mentioned doing multiple different takes because I was just recording for it like last week or something, and I was doing pretty much the exact same thing. Like, here's like a lighter, brighter version that might fit
Yep.
in with the more like contemporary, like kind of singer-songwriter vibe he's going for in some of the songs. Here's an opera take, like full professional opera, like all the way. And then
Mm-hmm.
here's one where it's like a little more pop driven, but with some of that operatic color to it. And
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
almost certain it's going to be that one. I mean, to my ear, that one sounds like it's commanding and it's powerful, but it's not like a totally separate technique from everyone else in the cast, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you find that building the foundation for singing classical has helped you sing in other genres?
Immensely, immensely. So one of my vocal professors um sort of has one thing that he said has created this huge thing for my vocal technique, I guess, which is your voice is, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use the word gun on a podcast, but is like a
You can. We'll
gun.
be okay. We'll be okay
Uh,
here.
okay. So, but it's like a gun, right? Like you pull the trigger, you have all the setup and everything, you pull the trigger, but once that bullet is out of the chamber, like it's out of the chamber. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like there's no affecting that. So it really is all the setup, all of the body technique, all this stuff before you let it fly, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I've sort of taken that and sort of gone with that where like, okay, well, like how can I change the chamber? Like do I do this to make the bullet do this one thing? You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like how do I
Yeah.
change the chamber so that my voice can sound different? And
Yeah.
as a voice actor, that's been immensely helpful. Like
Yeah.
really, really cool.
We're definitely going to get into that. I'm super, super interested in voice acting overall. And yeah, I mean, it's all about because you have your sound source. For most singers and most people, the sound source is the vocal folds.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the deathcore scene, they have figured out how to use other parts of their vocal tract to come together, fleshy bits,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
create kind of pitch. It's really interesting. But for most people, it's the true vocal folds. Maybe if
Right.
you're doing a voice acting, like a movie trailer thing, you might like involve some like
Yeah.
false folds or something like that. But it is all about you produce the sound and the vocal tract. That's what's going to create the color and create everything else about the sound pretty much.
Yeah.
And so if you know how to manipulate that, you can have control over your instrument and be able to paint with any color you want, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super, super important. Um, we're gonna keep going on Epic for a bit, but we're gonna get back to the voice
Yeah,
acting and all
absolutely.
the other
Take it
stuff.
away. Take it
So
away.
how long from when you got involved to when the project started releasing, and then everyone was like, and then it started, I mean, it started going just to the moon on every
Yeah.
platform and now even on streaming and YouTube. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge thing now.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes, yes, super, super exciting. But I mean, it was really I did the video, got offered the gig around, I want to say it was like November time frame of, I want to say like 2021, something along
Like
those lines.
first
2021.
was that second year of the pandemic? Yeah, second year of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, I was in the pandemic. I was in the pandemic. And then and then from there, uh that next like summer, so April, May-ish time frame, um, we went and recorded. Um, and it was funny because we only recorded part like the Troy saga. It's like that's what we're recording, the Troy saga. So we recorded the Troy saga, and those of the cast that weren't in the Troy saga weren't there. So the Troy saga people are the only people that I had met in person because again,
Mm,
this is COVID. Like, um, we're just coming out of COVID at this point, right?
hmm.
Um, and yeah, it was just like super cool. Got to record. We did it in Mexico City, Mexico. Had a great time, a bonding experience over the revenge of Great Montezuma. And you know,
Oh
it was
no.
it was a
Yeah.
blast. We had such a good time, and I think that's the part about recording that I didn't anticipate. I anticipated the work. I anticipated like all the professionalism, but I just didn't anticipate how much fun we would have together.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. So, yeah.
And was Zeus just in the very first track, if memory serves, the horse and the infant, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
at this point I was just recording a vision of what is to come cannot be outrun. That whole part.
Yeah,
And what's
yeah.
funny is I didn't even record that for the first little bit. They're like, "We'll get to you. We'll get to you." And then I got sick. And so I actually
Oh,
recorded that like sick in a weird way. Like not like fully sick, but like like whenever your vocal folds get a little more swollen, and you can get a
yes.
little bit deeper.
I wondered.
So
I wondered. You're just hearing your natural speaking voice. I wondered if you had a little bit of that for at least part of the
oh
Zeus recording.
yeah. Well, so this is probably not the best technique wise, but in order to get like optimal recording Zeus voice, um, I did ensemble recording first and did like high tenor stuff,
Yeah.
high tenor ensemble stuff. I'm like, even if you can't use this, I'm going to like tire my voice out. And so then my voice is just exhausted and it's and so I could just access all of the gravelly like tones pretty much.
Yeah.
So that was the trick with Zeus is overworking myself.
Yeah. We bass singers do that a lot to get our most freaky low notes.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you abuse your voice at night and then sleep and then wake up and do it the next morning.
That's right.
It tends to work well.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then I always tell people hydrate because damage abusing your voice is fun and all, but as if you don't hydrate, it won't recover as quick as you want it to.
Yes, I find it's really interesting. I find if I have like a big night out, the next morning, obviously the voice is super low. The low notes are crazy resonant, freaky
Yep.
resonant. And then I can actually sing pretty well. Like I can sing operatic rep the day after. If I get a big full warm up, get a vocal
Yep.
steam, like all that. But then the next day after that, my voice is trashed.
Fried, absolutely fried.
Fried.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's what I'm saying. I drink. You can ask anyone in the cast. It was so funny in Mexico. Uh, I drank like 2-3 gallons of water a
Oh
day,
my
like
gosh.
just like chugging, and and they were like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "Dude, 6'4", 270, big boy."
Big boy.
Yeah. So yeah,
When you tracked Thunderbringer, did you go back to Mexico City or was that a different setup?
completely different setup. What was actually funny is we went a bunch of different places. So Mexico City happened, and then we went to LA. There was something that happened in New York. I didn't go to that one. But we did a lot of recording all over the place. Um, there was one where I got flown out to do Thunderbringer. They never got to me, so I got a free vacation out of the thing and got paid to go. So it was just like really nice. And then sort of the I call it the gap happened, right? So like after Cyclops saga came out, there was just the gap, right? Like nothing happened for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but pretty much Jorge was like, you know what? I don't want this behind the scenes stuff to affect the product that I want to create. And I think that was really incredible. And so he went out of his way, reached out to each and every person in the cast and said, "Hey, I'm going to re-record everything.
Wow.
We're re-recording everything." So he reached out to every single person in the cast, said, "Hey, are you available? Like, give me your availability dates for like the next like 3 months, pretty much." And he scheduled everyone out. I flew out to his house, um, and recorded in his like home studio everything, all of the ensemble things, like every little thing that he could need, recorded it. Um, and then, I mean, he did that with every single person, just rotated him in. And then it was funny because the Thunder Saga was the next one that was going to come out, and I wasn't feeling very confident in the Thunderbringer because I
Mm.
I I had only sung it musical theater style, because he was like, "I really want to just be true to you, like your speaking voice, like I want Zeus to be you." And I was like, "Okay, I I guess, but like I want Zeus to be larger than life."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want him to be not just me. Me is some soldier on a ship. Zeus comes from the clouds. So, um, so yeah, it was funny because I said that while I was recording, and he was like, "No, it sounds great, everything's good." So then, probably I want to say 4 weeks before it was set to release, the Thunder Saga was set to release. He gives me a call and he goes, "Hey, are you available tomorrow?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I just want to fly you out. I want to like touch up some things." Sure. Go out there. And he shows me like what we've got. And it's a good take, right? But it's like, it sounds like me. Thunder, bring her through the ringer. And it's
Yeah.
like higher
Yeah.
and like prettier.
It's nice.
Um,
It sounds
it's
nice.
it sounds nice. It doesn't sound Zeusy, but it
It's
sounds
Zeusy.
nice. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I can try doing what I wanted to do. And he goes, "At this point, like this is all for us to just have fun." So we redid Thunderbringer. And while we were there, I was like, "Well, since we're having fun, can I try something?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "I want to try it in God games." And this is the birth of Beast Mode Zeus.
Oh,
So yeah,
just
yeah.
kind
So
of
I
went
got to
for it.
try. I got to have a lot of fun just trying stuff in the booth to see how it sounded on microphone, because obviously on microphone sounds completely different than just like in a room.
Yes,
Um.
absolutely.
So yeah, it was super great. It was super great,
So
and that
cool.
was sort of the whole recording process.
Yeah, I was really curious about that, just how it all worked. I mean, it's hard to find people with their own like nice setup, like nice enough to where you want to do like a commercial recording.
Yeah.
But it's also tough to get the funds to fly a whole cast out. Like I'm amazed that he was able to pull that off. I mean, I know the first couple sagas were already doing really well to re-record all the
Mhm.
everything, and I think that was because of a switch in management or a switch in
Yeah.
production.
So some crazy stuff
A
happened behind the
whole
scenes.
a
We call
whole
it we call it the gap.
yeah, a whole like classic music industry bullshit thing, you know?
Yes, exactly that. And it's just like, I'm so glad that Jorge didn't allow that to stop his vision, right? Because this is such an incredible project that a lot of people have a shared not only interest in but investment in,
Mhm.
and it's just I'm so grateful that he was able to do what he did.
Yeah. So what's it been like being on the Epic rocket ship?
So interesting is what I'll say. Super interesting. Um, I'm one of the few in the cast that has the superpower of, I call it the superpower of being a little bit more invisible than everyone else, in the sense of like, a lot of people, their singing voice is their speaking voice, is their, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And so they walk around and they're like, "Hi," and they're like, and then people are like, "Oh my God, you're Athena, you're Eurylochus, you're whoever, right? You're, oh my gosh, you're this person." They're like, "Yep, that's me." And I'm sitting here and I'm like, and I've had conversations with people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Luke, you need to look at this really cool musical called Epic the Musical. It's so awesome." And I'm like, really? Like what? Oh, tell me about it. Like I'd love to hear about it. And they tell me all about it. They tell me their like favorite parts and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, show me the first song. I wonder, like, can I see like the cast list or something? And they're like, yeah. And they start showing me, and they see, oh, they're like, oh, this guy has your same name. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, that's me. And then they click on the thing, they see the picture and stuff, and they're like, what? So
That's
it's
so
just
funny.
really fun. It's really, really fun. And so being part of the rocket ship has been super exciting, super cool. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that like can't be talked about that I have knowledge of that I'm like, oh my gosh, you know?
Sure.
Um, but it's also for me at least, it's a big thing where I'm like, oh, like I want to be in this consistently, right? Like I want to be a part of this wherever it goes, whatever it does. So a weird part of me is like, man, hurry up and release everything, because a lot of other things I know are going to follow, and
Hmm.
I want to be a part of those things.
Hmm.
Um, and and so I'm sort of stuck in this weird like waiting zone where I'm like, okay, like I'm not doing anything, but I'm also doing a lot.
Sure.
So like I'm writing my own song right now because like there's a lot of hype around Epic, and mine as well. My page gets a bunch of clicks, right? So I'm
Yeah.
writing my own
Yeah.
song right now. I'm auditioning for a lot of video games for video game voiceovers. Um, Lots of stuff like that, but without an agent, right? I don't actually have an
Hmm.
agent.
Hmm.
And I'm sort of waiting for all of Epic to do its thing, because agents take a percentage, and if they take a percentage of Epic, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure that's already happening somewhere.
yeah. So yeah, so that's the big thing, right? But yeah,
Cool.
I'm just the rocket ship has been amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you think playing Zeus has made you want to do more voice acting because you got to experiment so much, or was that something you were already really interested in years ago?
So yes, and again, I've always been really interested in voice acting. Now, what I will say is I was more interested in doing like musical theater stuff. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in New York. I'm gonna be on Broadway. That's what
Hmm.
I'm gonna be doing.
Hmm.
Right. That's what my brain was saying. But this experience with Epic is just been so great, and me being in a booth and getting to experiment and getting to bring life to something that has no face, right? And can be like all these animatics are creating faces for, right,
Hmm.
around my voice. I love it. And I was like, I didn't anticipate loving it this much. Like I knew I would like it, but like I love it. My wife makes fun of me because I anytime a new animatic or something comes out, I watch it in full and I break it down. I'm like, oh, they got this little part. Oh, I love how they interpreted this part. Oh, this is so cool. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
she's just like, do you get tired of listening to yourself? And I'm like, it's not about me. It's about the
Yeah.
art. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So going forward, what are you kind of aiming for, like the balance of voiceover to musical theater to whatever else?
Uh I mean, I'm shooting for voiceover. I think voiceover
Cool.
is like the vein that I want to live in. It is a very small world.
Yes.
Like it is a very small world. And so that's another reason why I'm sort of shooting for it as hard as I am, because I know that if I can get into it, now would be the time, right? Now would be the time to really utilize uh Epic's influence, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah.
and really dive in and get to know a lot of people in the industry, and hopefully cement myself a spot in the small little world that is voiceover.
Yeah.
But if not, again, my overall overarching goal ever since I was a kid is I've always wanted to teach musical theater. I've always
Mm,
wanted to be a musical theater professor,
really?
whether it be at a state school or a small school, wherever. I love like newly freed adults, if you will, like people who are out of the tutelage of their parents, right? They are free adults making their own decisions. It's a huge step in their lives, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to be a part of them figuring out themselves, right? And figuring out how much they love the art, or how much, hey, maybe this part of the art I don't love, this part of the art I do, right? Because it is a journey that we're all on,
Hmm.
discovering what we love, what we don't love. Like my initial college experience, I was an athlete. I was a volleyball player who did not sing. Like I was a volleyball player. And it's just it like everyone's journey is so vastly different, and they run into all sorts of different speed bumps and things. And so I just really want to be a guiding light for a lot of people.
And what kind of teacher? A director or a voice teacher or a coach or what?
I would love to teach voice,
Teach voice.
or like an acting studio, for example, just sort of like getting in connection with yourself and characters and things like that.
Awesome. Okay. High school sports. A lot of sports in high school.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I played lots of football. I played basketball. I wasn't too great at basketball. I could always jump. And my wingspan is a 6 foot 9 ish wingspan.
Really?
So I've
Oh
got
my
long
God.
arms, like real long arms. But I'm 6'4", so like I say quote unquote not tall, but like it's tall. It's tall,
Hmm.
but it's not like basketball tall, you know,
Yes.
to
Yes.
that be that's your only thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I was short for my position, but I had lots of like length. Played goalie in soccer. I actually did not play volleyball in high school. The long story is I had scholarship offers for football. I was a really great football player, but I hated it. Like,
Hmm.
you know, like not in a way like that, like, oh, I can't believe if I'm going to practice. It's just like it didn't bring me joy, right? It didn't, like when it was work. I was working, and it didn't bring me joy. And so then I was like, I don't want to accept these. I don't want to accept these offers. And my dad was like, well, you got to find a way to pay for college, you know? And so then I found a club team about 2 hours away. I drove 2 hours there, 2 hours back every day to practice for volleyball, because volleyball I actually genuinely enjoyed. And sure enough, a college picked me up, and I was just very lucky. But again, it also helped that I was extremely athletic. I had lots of bounce. I could jump very high. Um, Ended up tearing up my shoulder pretty bad though, and
Hmm.
so that was sort of what ended my volleyball career. But now I play on like a local club team, and I have a really good time because it's like I'm not full swinging ever. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just like whatever. Like I'll block, I'll set, I'll do light swings. Yeah, it's really nice.
What position were you playing football?
I play defensive end,
Okay.
D end. So
That's a great
I was
position, honestly.
fast, long arms, like I said, so I could get my hands like in the way of the passes and stuff. Um, it was really fun. It was really fun. One position that I played quite often, which I didn't like, um, which was the position that they put me in quite often, was do you know what a three technique is?
Actually, no. I mean, I played high school football too, but we never ran a three technique.
Yeah, so a three technique. So you have a nose guard. So on the defensive line, you have a nose guard, which is like the really big guy that takes up a lot of space, and then the three technique, which is on the outside shoulder of the guard. So in between, so interior lineman, right? But it
Yeah.
was like it's like a brain position, right? Because you have to read the play, you have to like shift people and like take punishment to then get like a tackle like at the line. And so I was really like I considered myself a very cerebral football player in the sense of like I was like thinking of like all the things that could happen. Meanwhile, I'm getting my face smashed into a brick wall every single play.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, yeah, not for me, not for me.
And
Uh,
how about music in high school? You do any music?
uh Funny enough, so I was actually part of an a cappella group. I was a beatboxer my freshman
Nice.
year. um they dragged me in, so I was actually just sharing this with some friends. um I was a like when I was little, I was like one of those really high singers in church. Whenever we did like those like church things, one of my little voice teachers would be like, all right, you have to sing like this part, and would sing it for me. And like I had a really great ear for music always. Like I was like they called me a mockingbird, right? My mom would call me a mockingbird because they would say sing something, and I would be able to sing that back, right? Exactly, like musical memory. Um, and so as a kid, I would sing the really high stuff, and then puberty punched me in the face. Um,
In
and
the nuts, actually.
yeah, exactly. And it was rough. And so I kept trying to sing like that, and it just wouldn't. And so I gave up on singing, and then they convinced me to beatbox, like because I was like, I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer. And they're like, well, you don't have to sing to be part of this group. Like, we really want you to be part of this group. And so I was the beatboxer, and then started like learning how to sing. And so the acapella group, I was like the bass, where I was like bum 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 bum, like like all that sort of like, and
I'm
it
quite
was a
familiar.
blast.
I'm quite
Yeah,
familiar with it. Yeah.
it was really. I mean, I had a good time. We went on a lot of trips. Like there was one we sang at Carnegie Hall with Z Randall Stroop.
Really?
Um, yeah, it was really awesome. I mean, we were not just the only ones. It was like a bunch of people. We were one of the
Hmm.
groups that got asked to be a part of this. But Z Randall Stroop was super cool. He was at least super cool to the guys. He was so mean to the girls.
Really?
Yeah, oh man, he was. Oh man, he was brutal to the girls. He said, "Altos, what are you doing?" It's like, oh my gosh. Uh,
So was that like choir? Your a cappella group got to do a choir
yeah,
thing?
got to do a
Okay.
choir thing. Yep, exactly.
They
So
needed
yeah, it was
bodies. They
good.
needed bodies up there.
They did, and we were there. We
Yeah, the
were
bodies were
there.
there.
Yep.
What kind of training do you do for your voice?
Um, Lots of different stuff, right? So, I mean, it really greatly depends on what I'm trying to do in the next few months, right? Um, I always, anytime I'm in the car, do a nice like 30-minute warm up. If you ever look up on YouTube, just like 30-minute baritone warm up. I
Hmm.
just do that just to make sure that it's like
Nice.
nice, and I can break out something if I need to. Um, but then to be honest, I just pick a song that I like and I'm obsessed with, and I listen to it on repeat until I know it and I can sing it. That is the extent of the training. And so month to month, or like depending on what I want to do. So like right now, I've been singing a lot of higher stuff. And so my tessitura inches into the higher direction, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then if for whatever reason they're like, hey, like we need Zeus to be ready to go in the next like 2 or 3 months, I'm like, you got it. So then I start like listening to like, hey, little songbird, give me a song. I'm a busy man. And then I like
Yeah,
slowly like pushes it down the more I practice there. You know what I'm saying? And so
for sure.
that's sort of the vibes of that.
Yeah, the musculature adjusts to kind of what you're working
Yes.
on.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the exercises like regularly is actually really important and rare for like freelance singers. Um, because like once you get good at singing, a lot of people just kind of settle in. But it's
Ah,
so important to, even if it's best to have a teacher and a vocal coach to check in with. But if you don't
yeah.
have that, it's so good to be doing exercise. It's like that's how you keep your strength up. That's how you keep
Yep.
your flexibility up. That's how you keep your agility up, your range, everything. So, and doing it in the car is great. And it's also a little
Yeah.
harder. It's a little harder because you're sitting down.
Yep.
You gotta be a little better about the breast support and like keeping everything nice and lined up.
Yep. And so then when you stand up, you're like, wow, I've got
So
so
easy.
much more strength. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
got more breath support than I've ever had. And you're like,
exactly.
oh,
So aside from Epic, what are maybe some of your favorite projects and or experiences from the music world?
music world. Okay. Hmm. That's a great question. So I loved so as a 6'4" giant, I'll call myself that, playing Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors was two things: musically challenging and actor wise challenging, because I am head and shoulders bigger than everyone else on that stage. So how can this little frail character be not only head and shoulders taller, but like beefier than everyone on the stage, right? So like I love doing like character work and stuff. And so some of the character work that I did that also informed my vocal work is uh Seymour is actually only like 13 or 14 in the production that I was doing, right? Like obviously that's not the case in the reality, right? But in the production that I was doing, he was 13 or 14 and just hit his growth spurt out of nowhere. So he has no idea that he's as big as he is.
Big awkward kid.
And yeah, just big awkward kid. So and then that informs like I got to ask the director, "Hey, can I purposefully crack on one of these notes, you know, as like a teen would, you know?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Sure, I mean, if you want, if you don't think it's going to sound bad." And I said, "No, I think it's going to be really funny and endearing, and it'll be very obvious that it's on purpose." And so sure enough, we found a spot, did it, and it was just really great. It was a really enjoyable process to sort of bring a new life to a character that is done the same almost every time.
Yeah.
um and so that was a really really fun, awesome experience. Another experience that was amazing, it was at a really really small theater with a bunch of my friends. It was Godspell. And Godspell is one of my favorite musicals simply because everyone gets their spot in the sun.
Hmm.
You know,
I don't
everyone
know that
has
one
their.
actually.
You don't? Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. So Godspell the musical, great one. What I will
Most
say
definitely.
is it really relies on the people because everyone gets their moment in the sun. There can't be a weak link. It is the definition of an ensemble show,
Hmm.
and it is just so much fun to be a part of. The first time I was a part of it, I was a spotlight operator. That's it. I was the spotlight operator, and I loved it because I could bring life through a spotlight. I could do things. I felt like I was in control of a lot of stuff and
Mm-hmm.
could, and like the spotlight had a personality of its own in a weird way. Like I was on
Mm.
the stage as that light. Um and the second time I played Jesus. And it was super super awesome to sort of just like again sing that. And again, it's a higher part. It's a I call it a baritone part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it sits in the baritone range, but it hits some high notes. Um and yeah, so there's that one. And then the one that my mom, and I'll always say my mom loves this one the absolute most, is Frank Hart, um from 9 to 5.
I don't know that one either.
9 to 5 the musical. You got a mean old boss who, and that's Franklin Hart. And he sings, oh my gosh, I have to think of the song now. It's "Oh, my sweet dear Dora Lee, you don't know what you mean to me. My body is your instrument, one of those I want to know. Please play it." It's very like country, like super fun,
Nice.
like,
Awesome.
but he's like a creep, right? So he's like talking about all the women in his office's bodies and stuff like that, and he's like he's a creep. So it was really fun to like do that too. There's lots of different things.
That's great, man. That's a great list there.
Yeah,
And some nice diversity as well. Just
yeah,
as
yeah,
to why they were memorable and so enjoyable and what you
right,
had to do to kind of make those characters work.
yeah,
Super, super fun. All right, let's talk about twitching and gaming. I'm interested to hear how you
yeah,
got into that and what that's like totally not my world.
yeah.
So,
No, no, no.
how you got into it, how it's going now.
So it's really funny. So I'd actually I'd wanted to stream for a while, right? But streaming takes up one, a lot of time, and two, um for the first little bit you're streaming to zero people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it takes a little bit to build a community. Luckily, Epic was able to sort of like springboard that zero into like 20 or 30,
Hmm.
um, which has been really, really nice. But yeah, I mean, it really is just I get to play games that I enjoy, that are really chill. The most recent game that I've been playing is called Web Fishing. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's literally just you're a little animal that walks around, throws his rod into water, and then plays a little clicking game and then catches the fish. It's super chill, super awesome. You talk to a lot of people on your chat. It's really, really great. One of my favorite games, though, which I don't quite often play on stream, is League of Legends. League of Legends
Wait a
is
second.
uh,
We've got a whole conversation.
you play?
No, I okay, so I don't play League of Legends, but Arcane is
Oh,
it's my favorite show ever made.
yes,
Ever
yes, yes.
made. The music, I think, is some of the greatest music ever created, ever, ever, ever. The show, the plot, the animation, like I am fully obsessed.
Yeah. Oh,
Fully
as you
obsessed.
should be. As you should be. What's so funny is people who. So I've played League of Legends since 2014. So I've been in it.
Yeah.
I've been in it for a while. Um, and playing League of Legends, the game, I don't recommend it to people who are like haven't played it before, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a lot. There's a lot. The knowledge barrier for entry is super super high. If you're
Interesting.
super into it, then absolutely go for it. But like it's a lot. It's a lot. What I will say though is because it is so much, there is so much lore. So
Yeah.
like that arcane lore, like a lot of us already knew bits and pieces of it because the game will give you Easter eggs. So like let's say I'm playing as Caitlyn and someone on the enemy team is playing as Vi and we see each other on the map, they start talking to each other.
Hmm.
Like
Oh,
while we're
interesting.
controlling them, they start talking to each other and leave little Easter eggs like, oh honey, I hope this doesn't affect our relationship. You know, it's like, okay, so now we know that they like each other, right? And like there's all this different lore that surround each character. And there's I want to say like 150 characters in the game or something
Right.
like
It's
that.
huge. It's a
And
huge
and
universe.
it's massive and each one of these characters uh have their own full storyline, story arc, and some of them are a little intermingled, right? So obviously Vi, Caitlyn, Jace is part of the game, Heimerdinger, Echo, um, Ambessa was added due to Arcane. So Ambessa is the newest champion, and she is a monster, and I hate going against her.
She's a
Uh,
beast.
yeah, she's a beast. Victor is one. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. But I loved Arcane. I loved Arcane.
That's what I hear from everyone who played. So often you'll get a video game that gets turned into a show or a movie, and the people who have played it or were used to it like despise the content that comes from it. And across the board, it seems like people are united with Arcane. Like they just nailed it.
They did. They really did. And I'm really excited for what Riot is going to do in the future.
Gosh,
Um
I know.
because they got cleared for a lot more than just 2 seasons of stuff. And so in the end of Arcane, we are understanding that there is so much more that is waiting down the barrel.
Yes.
And as a person who's played a bunch and knows a lot of the lore that is like in the works, I'm like, they could go anywhere.
Yeah.
They could go anywhere. Because, like, yeah, they could go anywhere. Riot is, or Rune Terra, the world of Arcane, um, is as big as our world in the sense of like Piltover and Zon, what we saw was just like Berlin, right? Like that's pretty much what it was in comparison to like the whole world, right? So like there's a whole thing that's going on in South America, which is like Ixtal. There's a whole thing going on in North America where it's like East versus West, and it's like Ionia, Demacia, Noxus are all like fighting each other. Like there's so much, and it's super exciting.
I have one other friend in the music world who is very similar to you. He's been playing League as long as he can remember, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just because he knows how much I love the show, and so he's just
Yeah,
been blowing up my WhatsApp with like what's possible and like what where they could go, where they could take it, and again how big the world is.
so it's so big. Well, fun fact, if you are ever into any video games, not this one, Um, but they are actually thinking about releasing in the next probably like 3 or 4 years, but an MMO,
Really?
which is where you are a character that you can design and you can explore the world
That's the
that
game I would
is
play. That's the
Runeterra.
game because I'm not a big gamer, but that's the game I would get
Yeah.
lost in.
Yeah, because you would just like go find you would go to Piltover and Zon and you'd be able to walk around Piltover and Zon.
And then you could do that with like a VR headset and be in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. So yeah, so I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see what Riot does.
And musically too. I'm
Yes.
absolutely so I've become friends with one of the guys that writes a lot of the music for it. His name's Alex, goes by Mako, but he wrote like What Could Have Been, he wrote Playground, he wrote all these songs and
Wow.
just fucking genius.
Incredible stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely genius. I'm just so I mean now I'm writing a lot of original music myself. I don't know if you've heard the whispers, me and Tegan are working on a big project together.
That's
Just a huge
awesome.
original project together, and so much of Arcane and the League of Legends that is really informing a lot of like, especially the combination of electronics and orchestra, like
Yes.
these big, amazing synths, like very new world and future, but also like real full orchestration, like strings, analog, and the beautiful combination of that to me is so, so,
It's
so captivating.
super powerful. It's sort of circling back. It's sort of Zeus. Like like the synth mixed with just the fullness of like I love some of my favorite stuff is have you heard of Cody Fry? Um it's Cody Fry. It's called Cody Fry Orchestra Sessions, I think is
Okay,
what
I'm
it's
gonna write
called.
it down.
Um but the song I want you to listen to is Underground by Cody
Okay.
Fry, and make sure it's Symphony Sessions. Symphony Sessions. There we go.
Symphony sessions.
Symphony Sessions is
Okay.
the full album, but Underground is the song. And when I tell you the picture that the like because it's very like folk mixed with full orchestral, like it's
Amazing.
gorgeous. The way I describe it to friends is imagine you're watching a movie and Hans Zimmer is playing something in the background,
Sure.
and then put
Sure.
Ed Sheeran in the middle of that. Like it's like
Oh my
what? Like
gosh.
yeah. So yeah, that's sort of like the vibe of what Cody Fry did with Symphony Sessions, and that is I think one of my favorite albums that
So
exists
cool.
right
I
now.
love that. I love the genre blending, the genre
Yeah.
bending. So cool. Okay. Do you have any like specific career goals? I mean, you talked about being wanting to be a teacher. I mean, is that is that where you kind of want to end your journey, or do you want to like keep performing while you're pursuing that?
Oh, again, I like you were talking about your friend who's in Riot. I'm like, yo, let him know if he needs the next voice of a Riot Games
I would kill.
person.
I would
Like,
kill.
I want to be a voice actor for a character that lasts for a very long time,
Yeah,
right? That
100%.
is, I think that is my goal, right? I got to meet, in fact, this guy went to my alma mater, University of Idaho. Um, I got to meet the voice of Patrick Starr.
Awesome. Oh, what's his name? Um,
Uh, if you didn't ask me, I would have been able to say it.
oh my God, I can like see it. Bill, something
Fagerbaki, Fagerbaki.
Fagerbach. Yes.
Yeah, Bill Fagerbaki. Thank you. I just needed Bill. You
Yeah.
said Bill, and I was like, I've got it now.
Bill, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I got to talk with him and stuff, and sort of like chat with him about a lot of things. Um, that's something that I strive for. Right? Is he started in theater, like in theater, and did theater, and then did a reality TV, not reality TV. What do you call like Frasier? It's not a TV
Um,
show, but it's like a sitcom. There we go. Um,
Sitcom. Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's it.
So Bill Fagerbakke got to do like a sitcom, and that's sort of how his journey started. And then he got into voiceover, and I think it was SpongeBob that initially started it, right? So it was like he did SpongeBob, and Patrick Starr is like the voice.
Oh my God. Yeah. Talk about a
And
rocket
he
ship.
yeah, like a rocket ship. And not only did that, but he's like he'd even been like, hey, listen, like a lot of people are extremely talented. A lot of people get lucky, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm one of the lucky ones. Like, and I was like, okay, yeah, but you're so talented. And he goes, look at all my work. And I looked at all his work, and it's like Frosty the Snowman, like a bunch of stuff. But when you listen to it, it's all Patrick Starr. It's all
Yeah.
the same voice,
Yeah.
but it's so iconic that people are like, yeah, we don't care if it's the same. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
great. And that's like, not that I want to like follow in his footsteps in the sense of like Zeus voice is all I'm known for, but like someone like Patrick Starr, I want to be known as like, and if that's Zeus, so be it, right? If that Zeus lasts forever, great,
Yeah.
great. But I want to be known for like a very iconic voice.
It's a
So
beautiful kind of fame too. You
yeah.
know, like you get to impact and reach so many people, but you don't get to the point of like being harassed and,
Yes.
you know, people
Yes. Like
overwhelmingly
movie
just
stars like The Rock can't
y-
go out, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Or
exactly.
Bill Fagerbaki, he goes out, and then obviously some people will be like, "You're Bill Fagerbaki," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're a really big fan. Thank you so much. I'm so excited." But like, it's a lot more rare, and you get to sort of have that more private life.
It also feels
Um,
overwhelmingly positive in a way that maybe celebrities don't get
yes,
it. Like you just love the voice that they've done for this character that they love, that they're passionate about.
yes,
And like there's no crap associated with it.
yes, exactly, exactly. It's and I think that's another reason why the voice community is so small,
Yes.
right? Is it's a protected family, right? It's a family that like makes sure that if you are adopted into it, it is it's going to protect you. And so that's why I'm working hard to get into it, because that's where I want to be.
I'll have to connect you with, do you know Jojo Otsedu, perchance?
No, no.
He was started off as just an incredible bass singer, like a bass singing prodigy. But for the last
Yeah.
few years, he's been absolutely getting after voiceover work. And he wants to be like a movie trailer kind of.
Oh,
He's got
cool.
that kind of voice. And he said, you know, um, people for most things don't want that kind of voice, right? So often he's raising his voice up to sound a lot more personable and
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to buy this product? But
Yep,
his
yep.
goal, and he's getting, it sounds like he's getting pretty close now, is getting into that top level where you get to start doing stuff, and his voice is maybe just perfect for the movie
Oh,
trailer kind of
I
thing.
believe it. I
But his
believe
whole
it.
philosophy is just like send as many auditions as possible. And so all day he is sending auditions. He's got his whole setup. He's on Voices 1, 2, 3 or whatever, and he
Hmm.
just bangs out auditions all day.
That's actually really smart. I might have to
Because
start doing that
because
because
it's a numbers game. It's like you
yeah,
can't have the talent to guarantee success.
right.
You can have the talent, but then you still have to really, because they're just looking, it's like you said a minute ago, it's like they're just looking for a certain kind of voice, a certain sound. You can be the best voice
Specific.
actor in the world, but if you don't have that sound, they're not interested.
Right. And they'll listen to the first like it was funny because so I was part of the bringing it back to Epic. I was part of the Epic cast while we didn't have a lot of people. So like I was sitting next to Jorge on a break, and he was just scrolling through auditions, and I could see him like listening to auditions. He'd scroll to one, not even 2 seconds would pass, and he would scroll to the next.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa!" Like you didn't. And he goes, "Yeah, if that sound is not what I want, I'm not gonna." And I'm like, "That's crazy." Like
Yes.
that's crazy how, but it's true because they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of auditions,
Yeah.
to get through. Like,
It's
how else
like
are you gonna get through it if you don't just nope,
it's
nope.
like the top, you hear all those stats when you're leaving high school at the top Ivy League schools where like they could just dump their like entire class that they accepted and the next 5,000 people would be like the same exact
Yep.
criteria as
Yeah.
far as like SATs and
Yeah.
GPA and all that stuff.
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts. So yeah.
Uh,
So I would love to be in contact with him. I'd love to chat with him
yeah,
about sort of his journey.
I'll put you and JoJo in touch. I think that'd be a useful connection to have because he's been grinding at it for a few years now. You
Yeah.
know, and his voice is like way lower than mine, and it freaks me out.
Dude, I mean, tell him that if you wanted to do like streaming, people would just watch him to
They
listen to his
would,
voice.
they would.
They would
Yeah.
listen, man. They would listen.
All right, let's get into Patreon questions.
All right.
And we'll treat for these. Some of them we will have already covered, but you can just give like a brief. But
Sure.
we should try.
Like go.
We got a bunch. We got like 12,
Oh, let's tear it up. I'm
which is a
ready.
lot because this is only like a certain like tier of my Patreon and up. We still got 12
Yeah.
questions, so this is a lot of questions coming in for Zeus. All right, this is from Jack Buckingham. How did Epic reach out to you for a vocal part or audition for Zeus? Or how did you hear about Epic? And then why did you choose to audition? And then did you intentionally audition for Zeus? We've covered pretty much all of that. I think we might have covered all of that.
But yeah, I mean, it was through TikTok. I'm gonna exaggerate and say 22 people told me to audition for this, and I kept saying no. I kept saying no, 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 and then I realized that the world was telling me to do this, and so I did it. And had like 4 or 5 callbacks, singing little snippets of each thing, and then I was offered the position, and I was super stoked. A lot of people always ask, like, "Hey, if you had to go back in time and you were guaranteed to get another role, what role would you get?" And I was like, Zeus, like every time, because like it's such a powerful role, and I feel like bringing a new light to him, right? Because he could always just be angry, right? He could always be all these different things, but bringing a charming side to Zeus is something that I tried to do, and I'm really really glad that it sort
Yeah.
of landed in a lot of the animatics that I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, Having that
You
charming
knew the
side.
whole time it was Zeus you were going for.
Yeah, yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. So it was always Zeus. What's funny though is so the person who plays Talia, or not Talia, Talia, the person who
Play.
plays Cersei. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
The person who plays Cersei, she auditioned for like a lot of different parts, and her auditions were incredible,
Hmm.
like incredible. She even auditioned for Zeus.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, and her audition video is still out there, and it's still incredible, and it's great. But she did so good that Jorge was like, used the Zeus video to call her back for Cersei. So like it could have been different things, right? But I just did that one video with Zeus, got callbacks for Zeus, got Zeus. So it's always been Zeus. In case you can't tell behind me, that's a painting that my sister did for
Oh,
me. I've
awesome.
always been a Poseidon guy, Poseidon fan. Love Poseidon. All of my usernames are ocean themed and stuff like that. So it's just really funny that I got Zeus. But again, Poseidon, if you've heard Steven Rodriguez
It's
sing,
fantastic.
Jesus,
Yeah, what
no,
a
I
voice.
don't I don't ever want to sing that song because of how good he's saying. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Like I'm like, there's
Crushed.
no way I could do that with my voice.
Awesome. All right. Derek Fletcher asks, how is throwing a thunderbolt similar or different to throwing an axe?
Ah, he
I mean,
knows.
he
He knows.
knows. He
He
knows something.
knows.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I actually used to be a professional axe thrower.
Professional
Um,
axe. How do you become a professional axe thrower? What does that mean?
you get paid to teach people how to throw axes. You go to different competitions, throw axes at different competitions, things of that nature. I actually have, probably can't see it. Oh yeah, you can actually. You see there,
Yes.
these
Yes.
right there.
Yes. Yes.
uh those are some of my competition axes that I used to throw. But yeah, I mean, axe throwing was so much fun. If I had a place around here, I'd be there every day. It's sort of like darts, but like with a heavy dart.
Way cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. So how is it similar? Throwing a lightning bolt is much like a javelin, sir. Much like a javelin, you must throw the lightning bolt with your shoulder versus with an axe. It is more of a vertical maneuver, really. Yeah.
Perfect. Got Zeus to answer the question even. Okay, next one's from Brienne Partington. What is your dream role and why?
Dream role. I assume they're talking musicals.
Yes, or
Um,
theater, whatever else.
yep, theater, musical theater, whatever it may be. If you've listened to Evil Dead the musical, I want to be Ash from Evil Dead the musical.
Okay.
That is it. I had the opportunity to be Ash. Um, I auditioned and they cast me as Scott, and I was like, no. But I played Scott and had a great time. So that was good. But I really want to play Ash. The other one, sort of second to that, is the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh gosh.
Would
Awesome.
love, would
Awesome.
love. But anytime I audition for Beauty and the Beast, and I've auditioned like 8 times, Gaston,
Gaston.
every single time, every single
Gaston.
time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want the beast. Like, yeah. So Gaston is also super fun to play.
A
Like
great
if I
role.
were to ever be in like a touring company as Gaston, it'd be like autopilot, super easy and fun.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Okay, Balash Folds asks, how did you decide to start streaming on Twitch? You seem to spend a bit of time there.
yes, I spend quite a bit of time there. Thank you so much, kind sir. Join our community if you must. Yes, yes, please. No, the answer to that is I play a lot of video games, and I was just like, you know what? Like, if I'm already going to be playing these video games, why not just build a community of love and positivity around that? So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm using my time wisely. That's what.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, Stephanie Haskett asks, what has been the most rewarding thing to have happened in your life recently? The
That
most
is such a great
rewarding thing.
question. Yeah. Um, Most rewarding thing that has happened in my life recently. Oh, I got to support one of my best friends. So my best friend from high school and my other best friend from they were two best friends from high school, ended up dating, getting married. I went home recently for Thanksgiving, and they had their baby.
Oh,
So they had a baby, and so I got to sort of like hang out and support them, and sort of, and I'm getting lots of Snapchats of their beautiful baby. I made fun of them a little bit because you make fun of best friends. I said this thing's gonna come out looking like Patrick Star. It's gonna have a cone head. It has a huge head if it's gonna take after both of you. But it came out, and it is just the most beautiful baby I could ever imagine, right? And it's just so gorgeous, and I'm very very happy for them. And being both of their best friends, I'm just so grateful that they are happy with the baby and they're having a great time and the baby's healthy and all that. So yeah,
that's beautiful, man. Diane Antos, if you could perform anywhere, where would it be?
it's outer space.
Yeah, forget some theater.
Yeah, what? Who needs theater? No. If I could perform anywhere, um, again, my goal is to eventually be a voiceover artist. So, really, I would love to have a nice house in LA and my own personal little studio in LA to perform from.
My God, dude. I have a house in Phoenix, bought a house like seven months ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, super, super love it every day. Grateful for it
Yeah.
every day. I love SoCal. I did my master's at USC, so I lived in LA for 2 years,
Nice.
and I've spent 2 summers in Santa Barbara for opera stuff. I
Hey,
love SoCal. I was looking all over SoCal for a place to live, but it is
that's where I'm at
five
right
to
now.
10 times more expensive than here,
Yes. Yeah,
literally.
that's where I'm at right now. I'm Santa Barbara County.
Oh,
Um
God, I love
and
Santa Barbara.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Um but yeah, we're definitely looking at moving more towards the LA because
That's where it is.
that's where it's at,
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
and
where it's at.
if I do get any stuff, I have like a 2.5 hour drive with no traffic from where I'm at to
Hmm.
LA, right? So it's like woof. But it's close enough to where like no excuses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, Amanda Knott. Since your resume says that one of your special skills is cartwheels, these folks have done their research. How many can you do in a row without getting dizzy?
Oh, uh,
Shout out to
I would say
Patreon coming through.
probably like 4 or 5.
And is it like consistent spinning?
It's cartwheel tap, cartwheel tap,
Okay.
cartwheel tap, cartwheel tap.
Okay. Yeah, like dizzy bat. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, as a 6'4" guy with a 6'9" wingspan,
Yeah.
pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, those are some big circles happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, Joseph Murley asks, what is your reliable daily vocal range?
Mm. Mm.
Performance range, I would say, is another way to
Yeah.
live performance range.
Yeah. Yeah. So on my website, I have quite a bit of stretch on both sides. I have F2, I believe, because that's the lowest that I can ever get.
Hmm.
Um, but I think regularly maybe like a G sharp 2 is as low as I can get. Like just
And still have some like nice tone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then uh on average I can hit probably uh an A.
Nice.
High A, like a
Tenor high
baritone
A.
high A.
Hmm.
Obviously I would love to do B flat.
That's an
But
important one. Yeah.
that's the one where it's like if you were like, "Hey, we need you for this thing now." And you're like, "Can you do a B flat now?" No, 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 no. Like not right now. Not right now. Are you kidding me right now? I can do an
Yeah.
A for you right now, but like no, 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 no. B flat is like it's also like it's my I call it my mental block because in reality I probably could, right?
Hmm.
I probably
Hmm.
could, but there was one performance that I did where I went to hit the B flat and just like screamed instead.
Nice. Skrelt.
And my body is now like trauma scarred from it. So
Yeah.
I'm like I have to be sure to hit it.
You could
So
probably do
yeah,
it if you didn't know you were singing a B flat,
for sure, for
right?
sure,
If
for
like if
sure,
you were
for
just
sure.
doing scales up and down with a teacher, you're like, oh,
Yep.
what note was that? Oh, it's a B flat. You're like, oh,
Oh, that was
not so
easy.
bad.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so crazy. No.
The
It's
old the
Santa
old
Fe,
noggin.
man. Santa Fe from yeah,
Santa. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that and it's
Is
not
that a
even
B
like
flat?
I think it's an A actually.
Okay.
But that's the one that I just went Santa Fe. It's just like, oh no.
I had a guy.
Oh
Okay, shout out to Sean O'Brien, one of my favorite guys. He was in my a cappella group in undergrad,
no.
and
Nice.
not a musical theater singer. Had a like an incredible, just a kind of like singer-songwriter voice. Had a nice like
Mhm.
rasp to it. But he
Yeah.
loved. We'd get drunk at parties, and he would just come out of the kitchen and do that tag from. He would do the Santa Fe tag, and he would crack
Uh-huh.
so badly every time. He would sustain the pitch even while he's cracking, just so fully committed. I would be on the floor every time he
I
did it.
love it. I love it. That is the thing though. That is so fun. That is so fun.
Okay, Grace Files. We got three more. If you were to be in another musical besides Epic, what would it be and why?
Uh Evil Dead again. Evil Dead the
Evil Dead.
musical. Evil Dead the musical. It's hilarious. It's really funny. You can like ham to the audience. Uh it's super not serious and it brings joy to everyone's faces who watch it.
Love that. Okay, Andrew Hawkins. What is your favorite song to sing in the shower?
Oh, right now, her voice from Little Mermaid the musical.
Okay,
And her voice is sweet as angels sighing. Love it, love it, love it.
fantastic. We've gotten so many samples.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah,
valuable podcast. Big time.
yeah.
All right, Amy Bruderly. What is your favorite video game and why?
League of Legends because I'm an addict. And because Arcane slaps. Um,
Laps so hard.
so good, so good. Yeah, no, it's incredible. Love playing with friends. Any game that I can play with friends really is the actual genuine answer. Solo player games are fine,
Hmm.
like one player games, but boy, do I love playing with people.
Awesome. All right. Any sign off for the wonderful audience and fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much. I really genuinely appreciate you guys listening. Thank you, Peter. Really, really appreciate you reaching out to me and sort of having a conversation with me. I do hope that this is not our last conversation, and I hope that we stay in contact and maybe can play some games or nerd out about Arcane some more.
Yes. Anytime. So great to have you, man. I will connect you with JoJo and I will keep you updated on release dates for this.
Sounds like a plan.
All right,
Thank you
man.
again. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Great chatting with you.
Bye.
Cheers. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Luke Holt, the voice of Zeus from Epic the Musical. If you enjoyed that conversation, you will surely enjoy this conversation with Tegan Early, Athena in Epic the Musical. Go on, click it.